The alarm system screamed through the bridge of the TDF Resilient. Commander Hyun-woo jumped from his seat and ran to the communications panel. His crew moved quickly around him, checking their stations and trying to understand what was happening. "What do we have?" Hyun-woo asked. So-Ra, his best pilot, touched the holographic display with quick fingers. "Sir, it's a distress signal, but it's not human. The language is completely unknown." Hyun-woo felt his heart beat faster. Humanity had been searching for alien life for almost 300 years. They had found empty worlds, dead civilizations, and ancient ruins, but never a living alien species. "Never someone calling for help? Can you clean up the signal?" he asked. The ship's computer worked for several minutes. Then a voice came through the speakers. It sounded like music mixed with water flowing over rocks. Beautiful and sad at the same time. "This is Larathi Confederation. Under attack. Machine intelligence. 3 worlds already fallen. Please. Help us. The bridge went silent. Every crew member stared at the speakers as if they could see the aliens through the sound of their voice. Tae-Min, the weapons officer, spoke first. "Sir, that signal came from the Velara system. That's 40 light years from here. If we go, we'll be far from any support." Hyun-woo nodded slowly. He knew the regulations. First contact situations required approval from Earth Command. They should send the signal back home and wait for orders. That would take weeks. Maybe months. "How old is this message?" he asked as Sobra checked her instruments. "It's been traveling for 6 days, sir." 6 days. Whatever was attacking these aliens had 6 more days to kill them. Hyun-woo made his decision. Prepare the fleet for jump. "We're going to Velara?" His crew looked at him with surprise. Then they smiled. They were explorers and soldiers. They joined the Terran Defense Fleet to help people. It didn't matter if those people were human or not. The Resilient and 4 other human ships entered faster than light travel. The journey took 18 hours. When they arrived at the Velara system, Hyun-woo wished they had come sooner. 3 planets burned below them. Not with fire, but with the cold light of machines eating everything in their path. Massive metal structures covered parts of the worlds like silver cancer. Ships moved between the planets, carrying resources and destroying anything that fought back. "Dear God," whispered Hae-won, the chief engineer. She was the youngest member of the bridge crew, but she had never seen destruction like this. "I'm picking up more signals," So-Ra said. Her voice shook slightly. Hundreds of them. All asking for help. All saying the same thing. The Harvester Collective is killing them. Hyun-woo watched the screens. He counted the enemy ships. There were thousands of them. His small fleet of 5 ships seemed like insects compared to that swarm. "Sir, we have incoming," Tae-Min announced. 6 alien ships approaching. They're not Harvester designs. The ships were beautiful. They looked like seashells made of crystal and silver. They moved smoothly through space, but Hyun-woo could see the damage on their hulls. Burns and holes covered their surfaces. "Open a channel," he ordered. The screen changed. An alien appeared before them. Hyun-woo tried not to stare. The creature looked almost like a human, but taller and thinner. Its skin was pale blue, and it had 4 arms instead of 2. Large black eyes looked at them with hope and fear. "I am Telvara of the Larathi Confederation," the alien said. The translation software worked perfectly. "You came. We sent our message into the dark, and you came. I am Commander Hyun-woo of Earth. We received your distress call." "What happened here?" Telvara's face showed pain. "The Harvester Collective arrived 3 weeks ago." "They are machines. Thinking machines that consume everything, planets, ships, people. They break us down and use us to build more of themselves. We tried to fight. Our fleet was destroyed in 2 days. We tried to negotiate. They do not talk. They only take." She looked at the 5 human ships on her screen. Hyun-woo saw hope die in her eyes. "You brought 5 ships," she said quietly. "Thank you for trying. But this is not enough." "Nothing is enough." The harvesters are too many. Hyung-woo leaned forward. Ambassador Talvara, these 5 ships are just the beginning. I've already sent a message to Earth. Our fleet will come. But I need information. How many worlds do you have? How many people? How much time? Talvara seemed confused. You would bring more ships? For us? We are strangers to you. That doesn't matter, Hyun-woo said. You need help. We can give it. Now please tell me everything. Over the next hour, Talvara explained the situation. The Larathi Confederation had 12 worlds. 3 were already lost. The harvesters were moving toward the core worlds. 8 billion Larathi lived there. They had maybe 2 weeks before the machines arrived. As she talked, Hyun-woo noticed something strange. Talvara kept looking at his crew with an expression he couldn't identify. It looked like fear, but also fascination. Commander Hyun-woo, she finally said. May I ask about your people? Your ships are very different from ours. Heavy armor, large weapons, and your crew. They wear combat suits even on the bridge. Hyun-woo looked down at his standard uniform. It was reinforced armor that could survive vacuum exposure for 30 minutes. Everyone in the fleet wore them. It was normal. Yes, he said. Standard safety equipment. Talvara made a sound like wind through leaves. Her people's version of a sad laugh. Commander, my ship has no armor. We never needed it. My people evolved on a peaceful world. Low gravity. Calm weather. Few predators. We built our civilization through cooperation and trade. We have no weapons on most of our ships. We never imagined we would need them. She looked at him with those large, dark eyes. What kind of world made your people wear armor in safe places? What kind of world made you build such terrible weapons? Hyun-woo understood then. Earth was not a peaceful world. Hurricanes and earthquakes killed thousands every year. Radiation from the sun forced humans to build heavy shielding. The gravity made humans strong. The predators made humans clever. The endless small wars made humans dangerous. A harsh world, he said simply. But it made us survivors. And we use that strength to protect others. I promise you, Ambassador. Earth will help. We will stop the harvesters. Talvara looked at the 5 human ships again. This time she saw them differently. She saw the thick armor that could withstand weapons that destroyed her fleet. She saw the massive reactors that burned with power her people couldn't match. She saw a species born from a cruel world, shaped into warriors by necessity. Then we will trust you, people of Earth, she said. We will hope that the monsters who came from the dark can be stopped by monsters who chose to be heroes. Hyun-woo smiled. We're not monsters, Ambassador. We're just humans. And humans protect their friends. The human ships stayed close to the remaining Larathi fleet. Hyun-woo sent detailed reports back to Earth every 6 hours. He knew the politicians would argue. Some would want to help. Others would say it was too dangerous. But he hoped the right people would win, while waiting for Earth's response. Hyun-woo ordered his ships to study the harvesters. They needed to understand these machines if they wanted to fight them. Haewon worked without sleep for 2 days. She analyzed every piece of data about harvester technology. On the 3rd day, she came to Hyun-woo's quarters with a strange expression on her face. Sir, I have good news and confusing news, she said. Tell me both, Hyun-woo replied. The good news is that harvester technology isn't as advanced as we feared. Their weapons are powerful, but they're designed to fight species like the Larathi. Light ships, minimal armor. The harvesters use energy beams that would tear through Larathi hulls easily. And the confusing news? Hey, one pulled up a holographic display. Our armor would stop those beams. Maybe not forever, but long enough to fight back. Sir, I think we can actually beat these things. They're winning because the Larathi can't survive the kind of war the harvesters fight. But we can. Hyun-woo felt hope rise in his chest. You're sure? I ran the simulations 40 times. With equal numbers, human ships would destroy harvester ships 8 times out of 10. The problem is they don't have equal numbers. They have thousands of ships. We have 5. That night, a message arrived from Earth. Admiral Dong Hyan appeared on the screen. He was an old soldier with gray hair and tired eyes, but those eyes burned with determination. Commander Hyan Wu, your report has caused quite a discussion back home. The politicians talked for 3 days. They argued about danger and cost and risk. Then a young representative stood up and asked one question. She said, "If we don't help and 8 billion Lirathi die, what kind of people does that make us?" Dong Hyan smiled. The vote was unanimous after that. Operation Sanctuary is approved. I'm bringing 40% of the fleet. 300 ships. 50,000 Marines. Enough supplies for a year of fighting. We'll be there in 3 weeks. Hyan Wu felt relief wash over him. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. You have 3 weeks to keep those aliens alive. Can you do it? Yes, sir. We'll find a way. The next morning, Hyan Wu met with Talvar again. He told her about the fleet coming from Earth. The ambassador's legs collapsed. She fell to the floor of her ship. The other Lirathi around her made sounds of joy and disbelief. 300 ships? She whispered. For us? You're sending 300 ships? More than that, Hyan Wu said. We're sending soldiers, engineers, medical teams, everything you need. But we need your help too. We need to slow down the harvesters until our fleet arrives. How? We tried to fight. They destroyed us. Because you fought the wrong way. You tried to defend fixed positions. You tried to protect everything. The harvesters expect that. We need to teach you a different way. Over the next week, human military instructors worked with Lirathi survivors. It was difficult. The Lirathi didn't understand human. Military thinking Te-Min tried to explain suppressing fire to a group of Lirathi soldiers. You shoot at the enemy to keep their heads down. You're not trying to kill them. You're trying to stop them from shooting at your friends. One Lirathi raised 3 of his 4 arms. But if we're not trying to kill them, why waste ammunition? Because your friend who's running toward that building will live, Te-Min explained. And he can kill the enemy from a better position. The Lirathi looked confused. Why doesn't he just stay here where it's safe? Te-Min rubbed his face. This was going to take time, so Ra had better luck with the pilots. She taught them aggressive maneuvers. How to use asteroids for cover. How to make the enemy think you were retreating, then ambush them. Your ships are faster than the harvesters, she told them. Use that. Make them chase you. Waste their time. Every hour you keep them busy is an hour they're not attacking your worlds. A Lirathi pilot named Velkin seemed to understand. Like the small fish that leads the big fish away from the nest? Exactly. Sora grinned. Now you're thinking like a Phyla pilot. But the real shock came when a Lirathi scientist named Pelther asked to study human biology. Hey, one volunteered to help him. She thought it would be interesting to show another species how humans worked. Pelther spent 3 days examining human medical records, DNA samples, and physical tests. Then he asked to meet with Hyan Wu privately. Commander, Pelther said, his voice shaking, I need to understand something. Your people have redundant organs? Yes, 2 kidneys. 2 lungs. If one fails, we can survive on the other. Your bones are reinforced with calcium to withstand 10 times the force that would break Lirathi bones? Earth has high gravity. We needed strong bones. Your blood carries extra oxygen. Your muscles have twice the density of Lirathi muscles. Your pain tolerance is extraordinarily high. Your healing rate is terrifying. And your stress response. Commander, when your people face danger, your bodies produce chemicals that make you faster, stronger, and more aggressive. Lirathi bodies shut down under stress. We faint, we freeze. But humans become more dangerous. Pelther looked at Hyan Wu with something like horror. What kind of world creates beings like you? Hyan Wu thought about Earth, beautiful and deadly. Oceans that could swallow cities. Storms that could level forests. Predators that saw humans as food. diseases that killed millions. And through it all, humans survived. They adapted. They became stronger. A world that tried to kill us every day, he said quietly. We're not special, Pelther. We're just survivors. Everything on Earth is dangerous. The animals, the weather, the plants. Even the sunlight can kill you if you're not careful. We evolved to handle that. We didn't have a choice. And now you use that strength to help us, Pelther said. Beings that could conquer us easily but choose to save us instead. I need to tell my people about this. They see human soldiers and feel afraid. They need to understand that you're not monsters. You're just built differently. 2 weeks passed. The human crews trained Larathi survivors. They ran small raids on harvester positions, testing their tactics. And they waited. Then on the morning of day 15, Sora shouted from her station. Commander! Multiple FTL signatures detected. Henmu's heart stopped. Were the harvesters bringing reinforcements? No, sir, Sora said, reading his expression. The signatures are human. It's our fleet. They came early? The space around them filled with ships. Hundreds of them. Heavy battleships that could pound planets. Fast destroyers that hunted in packs. Carrier ships full of fighter craft. Troop transports carrying thousands of Marines. And in the center of the fleet, the massive command ship called Earth's Shield. Admiral Donghayan's face appeared on every screen in the Larathi fleet. This is Admiral Donghayan of the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. We received a distress call from the Larathi Confederation. We have come to answer it. To the harvesters, you have attacked peaceful people. You have killed billions. That ends now. To the Larathi, hold on a little longer. The cavalry has arrived? Telvara watched the human fleet with tears running down her face. Around her, every Larathi was crying or cheering or simply staring in disbelief. Hyunwoo smiled. Now the real fight would begin. Admiral Donghayan took command of the joint operations immediately. His first meeting included Hyunwoo, Telvara, and 30 other human and Larathi officers. The humans wore their combat armor. The Larathi wore elegant robes that seemed too delicate for war. Show me the strategic situation, Donghayan ordered. Telvara activated a holographic map. 12 Larathi worlds appeared. 3 were marked in red, completely consumed by harvesters. 5 were marked in yellow, currently under attack. 4 were still green, but harvester fleets were moving toward them. The harvesters are systematic, Telvara explained. They take one world completely before moving to the next. They are currently focused on our industrial worlds. Once they control those, they'll have unlimited resources to build more ships. Donghayan studied the map silently. Then he pointed at the industrial worlds. How long until they're taken? 3 days. Maybe 4? Then we hit them now before they consolidate their position. Commander Hyunwoo, you know these harvesters better than anyone. What are their weaknesses? Henwoo stepped forward. They're machines, sir. They follow patterns. They don't adapt quickly to new tactics. And they assume all species will defend their homes the same way the Larathi did, statically, predictably. Good, then we won't be predictable. Donghayan turned to his officers. Prepare strike groups. Fast ships with heavy weapons. We're going to hurt them and run before they can respond. Make them chase us. Waste their resources. A Larathi officer raised 2 arms. Admiral, forgive me, but running away seems dishonorable. Should we not face them directly? The room went silent. Several human officers looked uncomfortable. Donghayan's expression softened. There's no honor in dying uselessly, he said gently. We run so we can fight again. We retreat so we can strike from a better position. This is how humans survived on our world. We were not the strongest animals. We were not the fastest. But we were clever. We learned when to fight and when to run. That intelligence kept us alive. Telvara nodded slowly. I begin to understand. Your people think about war differently because you had to. Every battle was about survival. Exactly. And now we'll teach the harvesters what happens when they fight survivors. The first strike came 12 hours later. Captain Jiwoo led a force of 50 ships toward a harvester processing facility. The facility was massive, converting an entire moon into raw materials. Thousands of harvester drones protected it. The human ships came in fast, fired their missiles, and left before the harvesters could organize a response. The facility took heavy damage. More importantly, the harvesters had to divert ships to defend it. That's one, Dong Hyan said, watching from his command ship. 19 more strikes today. Keep them off balance. The attacks continued for 3 days. Human ships hit harvester positions all across the system. The harvesters started pulling back from the Larathi worlds, trying to protect their facilities. On the 4th day, an emergency call came from a civilian convoy. 5,000 Larathi refugees were trying to escape a world under harvester attack. They were trapped with harvester ships closing in. Wu was closest. She took her marine transport and 10 escort ships. They arrived just as the harvesters opened fire on the refugee ships. All Marines, suit up, Jiwoo ordered. We're boarding that harvester station and shutting it down from the inside. Her second officer looked shocked. Sir, we can't breathe in space. How will we get to the station? Jiwoo smiled inside her helmet. Who said anything about breathing? The Marines launched from their ships in individual combat pods. They flew through space like bullets, dodging harvester fire. When they reached the station, they attached magnetic locks to the hull and began cutting their way inside. The Larathi refugees watched in amazement. Humans were fighting in hard vacuum, where no Larathi could survive for even a minute. The humans moved across the station's exterior, completely exposed to space, using magnetic boots to walk upside down on the metal surface. Inside the station, the Marines fought through waves of harvester drones. The combat was brutal and close, but the Marines were trained for this. They moved in teams, covering each other, advancing steadily. Jiwoo reached the station's control center. She placed explosive charges on the main computer core. All teams, withdraw. We have 2 minutes. The Marines ran back to their pods. The explosives detonated. The harvester station went dark. The refugee convoy escaped while the harvesters were blind. When Jiwoo returned to the fleet, Telvara asked to meet with her. The Larathi ambassador looked at the Marine captain with wonder and fear. You fought in vacuum, Telvara said. Without ships? Without protection except your suits. How is that possible? Jiwoo shrugged. Our suits are good for 6 hours in space. And we train for it. Every Marine learns zero-gravity combat. It's necessary when you might need to repair a ship during battle or board an enemy vessel. But the cold, the radiation, the lack of air, any of those things would kill a Larathi in seconds. Yeah, it would kill us too if our suits failed. But they don't fail often. We build things to last. Have to, when your homeworld tries to kill you with hurricanes and earthquakes. Telvara made that sound like wind through leaves again. You keep saying your world tried to kill you, but you speak of it with love. Of course. It's our home? It made us what we are, strong enough to protect people like you. Meanwhile, in the strategy room, Wu Jin presented his plan to Admiral Dong Hyan. The strategic officer had been analyzing harvester behavior for days. Sir, the harvesters are predictable. They assume species will defend their homeworlds at any cost. They expect us to put everything we have around the core Larathi worlds and wait for them to attack. And we're not going to do that? Dong Hyan asked. No, sir. We're going to give them what they expect, but it's a trap. We fake a defensive position around 2 outlying colonies. Make it look like we're scared and hiding. The harvesters will bring their main fleet to crush us. And when they're committed, we jump our real fleet behind them and hit their manufacturing bases. Without the ability to build new ships, they'll have to retreat. Dong Hyan studied the tactical map. You're asking me to sacrifice 2 colonies as bait. Yes, sir. It's terrible. But if we don't, all 12 colonies die. This way we save 10. The admiral looked at Telvara. This is your decision, Ambassador. I won't make it for you. Telvara closed her large eyes. Her forearms trembled. Making a choice like this went against everything her peaceful people believed. But she had learned from the humans. Sometimes you had to make terrible choices to protect the people you loved. Do it, she whispered. 2 worlds to save 10. We'll evacuate as many as we can. The rest will understand why we did this. Unji, the human cultural liaison, put a hand on Telvara's shoulder. The Larathi woman was crying. You're learning to be a wartime leader, Yunji said softly. I'm sorry you have to learn this. But you're doing well? You're making the hard choices that save lives. Does it ever get easier? Telvara asked. No, and it shouldn't. The day it becomes easy is the day you've lost your humanity. Or in your case, your Larathi nature. Over the next week, the trap was set. Human ships positioned themselves around 2 outer colonies, making a show of building defenses. The harvesters watched and calculated. Their artificial intelligence determined that this was the time to strike. The Harvester Collective committed 70% of its forces to the assault. Thousands of ships gathered, preparing to overwhelm the human defenses. In the command center of Earth's shield, Don Hyan watched the enemy fleet approach. Around him, human and Larathi officers worked together, coordinating the most complex military operation either species had ever attempted. All ships report ready, Hyan Wu said from his station. Engineering teams in position. Hey, one confirmed. Strike fleet standing by? Giwu added. Don Hyan took a deep breath. Everything depended on the next few hours. If this worked, they would cripple the Harvester Collective. If it failed, both humanity and the Larathi would pay a terrible price. Begin the operation, he ordered. And may God help us all. The Harvester fleet arrived exactly when Wu Jin predicted. Thousands of machine ships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the star system. They moved in perfect formation, cold and mechanical, like a swarm of metal insects. On the 2 outlying colonies, human and Larathi ships waited. They looked desperate, clustered around the planets in defensive positions. Exactly what the harvesters expected. Dong Hyan watched from the hidden fleet. They were positioned in the asteroid belt, their ships powered down to minimum levels. The harvesters' sensors swept past them without noticing. Machines were smart, but they thought in patterns. They didn't expect prey to hide and ambush them. The harvesters are committing their forces, Wu Jin reported. 72% of their total fleet strength is moving toward the colonies. Good, Dong Hyan said. Hey, One, are your teams ready? Across 4 different star systems, Hey, One and 30 other engineering teams waited near harvester manufacturing facilities. These bases produced new harvester ships. Destroying them would cripple the enemy's ability to replace losses. All teams ready, sir, Hey One confirmed. Her hands were steady, but her heart raced. She had spent her whole life building things. Now she was about to become very good at destroying them. The harvester fleet reached the colonies. They began their attack, overwhelming the defenders with sheer numbers. The human and Larathi ships fought back, but they were following orders to retreat slowly. Make it look real. Make the harvesters believe they were winning. Now, Dong Hyan said quietly, across the star systems, human engineering teams struck. Hey, One's team approached a massive harvester factory that orbited a dead planet. The facility was huge, the size of a small moon. It built 10 new harvester ships every day. Remember the plan? Hey One said to her team. We're not using explosives on the outside. We're going inside and destroying the fusion cores. When those go, the whole facility goes. They attached to the factory's hull and cut their way through. Harvester drones responded immediately, but the human marines were ready. They have fought through worse than this. The team reached the central fusion chamber. Hey, One looked at the massive reactors that powered the facility. On Earth, humans had learned to harness fusion energy by studying the sun. They built reactors that could withstand incredible heat and pressure. The harvester reactors were powerful, but less stable. Place the override codes, she ordered. We're going to make these reactors overload. Her team worked quickly. The codes were from Pelther, the Larathi scientist who had studied harvester technology. He had found a weakness in their programming. The harvesters never expected anyone to turn their own reactors against them. Codes uploaded, one of her engineers said. Reactors destabilizing. We have 8 minutes to get clear. They ran. Behind them, the facility's lights flickered and failed. Emergency alarms screamed through the corridors. The team made it back to their ship with 2 minutes to spare. From a safe distance, they watched the facility explode. It didn't blow up like a bomb. It collapsed into itself, the fusion reactors creating a miniature star for just a moment. Then nothing. The facility was gone. Target destroyed, Hay1 reported. One harvester factory down. Across the other systems, similar reports came in. 32 harvester facilities destroyed in coordinated strikes. The collective lost 30% of its manufacturing capacity in less than an hour back at the colonies. The harvester fleet was still attacking. They had no idea what was happening to their industrial base. Then Dong Haiyan gave the second order. All ships activate and jump to assault positions. Let's show them what a real fight looks like. 300 human warships powered up inside the asteroid belt. Their reactors blazed to life. Weapons charged. Then they jumped. Emerging from faster-than-light travel directly behind the harvester fleet, the harvesters were caught completely by surprise. They had calculated for a defensive battle. They had planned to overwhelm fixed positions. They never expected the prey to become hunters. The human fleet opened fire. Missiles and energy weapons struck harvester ships from behind. The heavy armor that had seemed like overkill against the Larathi now proved its worth. Harvester return fire splashed against human shields and armor, doing damage but not destroying. All ships firing pattern Delta, Dong Haiyan ordered. Concentrate fire. Take them apart piece by piece. The battle became chaos. The harvesters tried to turn and face the new threat, but that exposed them to the defenders they had been attacking. The Larathi ships, freed from their defensive positions, struck at harvester flanks. So Ra led her fighter squadron into the thick of the battle. Human fighters were small and fast, like angry hornets. They flew through the harvester formation, targeting weapons and engines. Remember your training, she called to her pilots. Speed is life. Don't sit still. Keep moving. A Larathi pilot named Velkin flew beside her. He had learned human tactics over the past weeks. Now he used them, making his ship dance through enemy fire. This is amazing. Velkin shouted over the comm. We're actually winning. Then disaster struck. The resilient Haiyan Wu's ship took a direct hit from 3 harvester vessels simultaneously. The shields collapsed. Hull breaches appeared across multiple decks. Fire spread through the engineering sections. Sir, we're losing reactor containment, Taemin reported. If it goes, it'll take us and 6 other ships with it. Haiyan Wu made his decision instantly. All crew, abandon ship. Emergency evacuation. Go now. Escape pods launched from the dying vessel. But Haiyan Wu stayed on the bridge, along with Sora and Taemin. Someone had to keep the ship stable long enough for the crew to escape. Sir, you need to leave too, Sora said. Not yet. The reactor is still critical. If it explodes now, all those pods are too close. We need to buy them time. Sora looked at the tactical display. The Harvester command ship was only 2 kilometers away. It was coordinating the enemy fleet, directing their movements. If it died, the Harvesters would lose cohesion. She made a decision that would change everything. Commander, she said quietly. The command ship is right there. If we hit it, we could win this battle. Haiyan Wu understood immediately. Sora, no. That's suicide. You just said we need to buy time anyway. This way, our deaths mean something. Taemin grabbed her arm. I won't let you do this alone. Sora smiled. I was hoping you'd say that. She took manual control of the ship. The Resilience engines fired one last time. The dying vessel accelerated toward the Harvester command ship. It's been an honor serving with you both, Hyun Woo said. The harvesters saw them coming. They fired everything they had, but the Resilience armor held just long enough. The ship struck the Harvester command vessel at full speed, but at the last second, Temin did something impossible. He activated the emergency transporter and locked onto Sora's signal. The transporter was only meant for cargo, not people. The range was too short. The power requirements were too high. But Temin didn't care about specifications. He sent every bit of remaining power to the transporter. Sora materialized on another human ship, unconscious but alive. Hyun Woo and Temin weren't so lucky. The Resilient exploded, taking the Harvester command ship with it. The destruction of the command ship broke the Harvester formation. Without central coordination, individual Harvester vessels began making random decisions. Some retreated. Some attacked wildly. Some just stopped moving. The human fleet pressed their advantage. Ship after ship fell to coordinated fire. The battle that the Harvesters thought they would win turned into a massacre. Of the thousands of Harvester vessels, only a few hundred escaped. When the battle ended, Dong Hyun ordered a fleet-wide moment of silence for the fallen. 12,000 humans had died. 30 ships were destroyed completely. Another 50 were damaged beyond repair. For the Larathi, these numbers were horrifying. For the humans, it was a strategic victory. In the medical bay, Sora woke up. She immediately asked about Hyun Woo and Taemin. When they told her both were gone, she cried for the first time since she was a child. But across the Larathi Confederation, 8 billion people watched the aftermath of the battle. They had been saved by strangers who crossed the stars to help them. Strangers who gave their lives so that the Larathi could live, the Harvester. Collective Central Intelligence calculated its losses and made a decision. Humans were too costly to fight. Their technology was better. Their tactics were superior. And most importantly, they were willing to accept losses that would break any other species. The remaining Harvester ships jumped to faster-than-light travel and left the region entirely. They would find easier prey somewhere else. The war was over. But the cost had been terrible. 6 months after the battle, the Larathi Confederation was slowly healing. The 3 worlds destroyed by the Harvesters would take decades to restore. But the remaining 9 worlds were safe. 8 billion Larathi owed their lives to humanity. Sora stood on the observation deck of the new flagship, watching the planet below. She walked with a slight limp now. The emergency transport had saved her life but damaged her leg. The doctor said she would never fly combat missions again. She didn't care. She was alive. Hyun Woo and Taemin were not? That truth hurt more than any physical wound. Captain Sora? A voice said behind her. She turned to see Talvara. The Larathi ambassador looked different now. She wore simpler clothes. The elegant robes were gone, replaced by practical uniforms. War had changed her, just as it changed everyone. Ambassador, Sora said. How can I help you? I came to give you something. Talvara held out a small crystal. It glowed with soft blue light. This is the Star of Valor, the highest honor my people can give. You are the first human to receive it. Sora took the crystal carefully. I don't deserve this. Hyun Woo and Taemin should get it. They're the ones who died. They already have. We gave them the honor posthumously. But you deserve it too. You were willing to sacrifice yourself. Only Taemin's quick thinking saved you? Sora touched the crystal. It felt warm. He was always smarter than me. Talvara made a gesture of respect with her 4 arms. Your people gave so much for us. 12,000 died. I want you to know that every Larathi child now learns their names. We will never forget what humanity did for us. Later that day, the formal alliance ceremony took place. Representatives from Earth and the Larathi Confederation met in a massive hall on the primary Larathi world. Billions watched on screens across both civilizations. Admiral Dong Hyun represented humanity. He looked tired but proud. Talvara spoke for the Larathi. Together, they signed the Larathi-Terran Compact. From this day forward, Dong Hyun said, Our people are allies. We will share knowledge, resources, and protection. What threatens one threatens both. Telvara added her own words. The Lirathi were a peaceful people. We thought peace was enough. The humans taught us that sometimes peace must be defended with strength. You became the guardians we never knew we needed. In return, we offer everything we have. Our science, our culture, our friendship. The crowd erupted in cheers. Humans and Lirathi celebrating together, but the most important changes happened quietly. In training facilities and laboratories, Pelther published his study on human biology. The book was called Children of a Cruel World, Understanding Humanity. Every Lirathi official was required to read it. The book explained that humans weren't monsters, just survivors shaped by a harsh planet. The book became incredibly popular. Young Lirathi read it and began to understand why humans wore armor in safe places, why they trained constantly for disasters, why they seemed so intense about everything. It wasn't aggression. It was preparation. On Earth, you prepared for the worst or you died. Some young Lirathi wanted to learn more. They volunteered for exchange programs with the human military. The first group of 50 Lirathi recruits arrived at a human training base nervous and excited. EUN-G. The cultural liaison oversaw their orientation. She had spent months preparing for this. Teaching humans and Lirathi to work together was going to be challenging. Welcome, she told the recruits. You're here to learn how humans fight. But more importantly, you're here to learn why we fight. We don't fight because we enjoy violence. We fight to protect. Can you understand that difference? A young Lirathi named Curtin raised his arm. I think I can. My city was attacked by harvesters. Captain Ji-woo and her marines saved us. They fought with such ferocity that I was terrified. But then I realized they were terrified too. They just didn't let fear stop them. They were scared but fought anyway. That's real courage. India smiled. Yes, exactly. Now let's see if we can teach you some of that courage. The training was difficult. Lirathi bodies weren't built for combat like human bodies were. They couldn't carry as much weight. They tired more quickly. They couldn't withstand as much damage, but they learned strategy. They learned tactics. They learned how to think like soldiers. And most importantly, they learned they didn't have to become human to defend themselves. They just had to be smart about their limitations. Meanwhile, humans were learning from the Lirathi too. Lirathi biotechnology was centuries ahead of human science. They shared medical techniques that could heal injuries in hours instead of weeks. They taught humans how to grow food more efficiently. They showed human scientists quantum computing methods that would revolutionize technology. In his office, Admiral Dong Hyen met with the newly promoted Admiral Sora. She couldn't fly fighters anymore, but her strategic mind was brilliant. She had been given command of the Joint Patrol Force. How's the integration going? Dong Hyen asked. Better than expected, sir. The mixed crews are working well together. Humans provide the muscle. Lirathi provide the finesse. Together we're more effective than either species alone. Good, because I have a new assignment for you. Dong Hyen pulled up a star map. This is the border region. We've established patrol routes to watch for harvester activity. I want you to command the fleet there. Sora studied the map. That's a huge area, sir. We'll need more ships. You'll get them. The Lirathi are building new vessels using combined human and Lirathi technology. Faster than Lirathi ships, tougher than human ships. The best of both worlds. Sora smiled. Henongwu would have loved to see this. Humans and aliens working together. That's what he always hoped for. And then let's make his dream real. Take command, Admiral. Show the galaxy what cooperation looks like. 3 months later, Sora stood on the bridge of her flagship, the new vessel named Resilient in honor of the ship that had been destroyed. Her crew was mixed, humans and Lirathi working side by side. The communications officer, a Lirathi named Merville, suddenly spoke up. Admiral, we're receiving a distress call. Unknown origin. The language is unfamiliar. So Ra felt her heart race. Another alien species. Another call for help. She looked at her crew. Human faces showing determination. Larathi faces showing concern but also resolve. They had learned. They were ready. Can you translate the message? She asked. Merville worked for a moment. Yes, Admiral. They're calling for help. They say something is attacking them. They say they're dying. The bridge went silent. Everyone remembered the Larathi distress call that started everything. Another species in danger. Another chance to help. Sora made her decision immediately. Set course for the signal. Maximum speed. Send a message ahead. Tell them help is coming. Tell them they're not alone anymore. As the Resilient jumped to faster-than-light travel, Sora thought about everything that had happened. Humanity had gone into space expecting to find enemies or nothing at all. Instead, they found friends. They found people who needed protecting. They found a purpose. Earth was a harsh world that created harsh people. But those harsh people chose to use their strength to help others. That choice made all the difference. Behind them, the human and Larathi alliance grew stronger every day. Ahead of them, another species waited for rescue. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, other civilizations would learn what the Larathi already knew. When you called for help, the Deathworlders answered. And they would move heaven and earth to save you. The message from the unknown species continued to broadcast. Please, anyone, help us. We're not warriors. We don't know how to fight. Please, So Ra leaned forward in her chair. Increase speed. I want to get there yesterday. Her human crew grinned. Her Larathi crew made sounds of agreement. They were ready. They were willing. They were the defenders who chose to protect the weak, and across the galaxy, other species would learn to call them by the name the Larathi gave them. The name that meant both fear and hope, danger and salvation. The guardians from the death world. The ship jumped through space, racing toward another cry for help. The war with the harvesters was over. But the mission to protect the innocent had just begun. And as long as there were people in danger, the humans and their allies would answer the call, because that's what guardians do. They protect. They sacrifice. They never abandon those who need help. The stars stretched around them, full of possibilities and dangers. But Sora wasn't afraid. She had learned from the best. Hanwu taught her that courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was doing what's right even when you're terrified. All hands, this is the Admiral, she said over the ship-wide communications. We have a new mission. Someone needs our help? Let's show them what we're made of. Let's show them they're not alone. And let's remind the universe that, as long as we're here, the innocent have nothing to fear. The crew responded with a roar of approval. Human voices and Larathi voices together. United in purpose, the Resilient flew on through the darkness, carrying hope to those who thought they had none. The age of the Guardians had begun.